Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There they are. Meet my new friends.
Old friends.
Old friends, yes. We met like 1 year ago. This is on the left, we have Nimai Prabhu and Roxanna Mataji,
Hare Krishna.
who will share a little bit of their own experience in Krishna consciousness and give us some nectar, some inspiration.
To our best.
Yeah, whatever it comes, whatever it comes. Yeah, so they invited me to join them in their nice, very beautiful home in Delaware. Let me just show you. Very artistic. Look at these nice pictures. Look at the beautiful altar with crystals. And that picture of Prabhupada is wicked. Nice. Who made all the arrangements?
Roxanne.
I'm going to take credit. I'm going to take credit for the decorating.
Of course.
It did not look like this prior to about 2 summers ago. It was spray painted former bachelor pad before Nimai and I were married. It looked very different. Very, very, very different. I'm grateful he let me put my touch on it though.
Yeah, me too. I never doubted you then.
Okay, so how did it all started? I don't know who's wanna begin first to share his story, how he met the devotees, or even prior to that, some far out transcendental adventures, some rave parties maybe. I heard there were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. We met at a Kirtan, and we had both just been introduced to Kirtan, and I didn't even know what a Hare Krishna was. Like, I don't remember like seeing them even in the media and like being like, oh, who are they? Like, I didn't know what a Hare Krishna was. She said she did.
I did. I was a huge Beatles fan, so I was
Oh,
familiar with George and his run-ins with Hare Krishna.
My sweet Lord,
right?
Hare Krishna.
Years ago, I was distributed a book at a protest that I went to, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together until later. But,
What kind of protest?
It was the DNC protest a few years back in 2016.
2016.
Political protest.
So you're quite a rebel.
Something like that. Is that being a rebel, a political protester, or is chanting Hare Krishna the real rebel, right? Like, I think...
Good point.
Yeah. So.
Good point. Yes, we are rebelling against the ultimate illusion.
Now, I say that, but I'm still pretty entangled in that, even though I'm doing my best to, untangle. But it's difficult. It's difficult when you're inundated, when you're here, but trying to practice. So.
Yes.
Yeah, we were both invited separately. We had never met. We were invited separately to a new local Kirtan outreach program that was happening monthly at the theater down the street. Grace Madhuri Prabhu and his father, Prahlad Priya Prabhu.
Madhuri Pura?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Young? The young Madhuri Pura?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, really? He was here.
Yeah.
Yeah. They started this monthly outreach program, and I think soon after Madhu started, he moved to Colorado. And then so Prahlad Priya kept it going in his absence, and Madhu would come through. He would try to arrange his travel so that he'd be here as often as possible, because it was just the first Thursday of each month. So we were invited separately. We met. We were acquaintances, and we both
Loved it.
really loved Kirtan. I tried reading the books.
I did not.
I could get into some of it, but some of it I was like, no way.
La La Land?
Yeah.
Fairy tales.
Yeah. But slowly but surely got more and more involved. And then so this, now we host a weekly program every Thursday, and we just kind of inherited it. It just kind of fell in our laps.
We've grown up.
And it's great. It's like, we always look forward to Thursday nights having everybody over doing Kirtan. And, of course, sometimes, we're tired or whatever, we're run down, we don't feel like hosting and cooking and cleaning and everything. But, whenever, I feel like those are usually the best weeks, when I'm like not in the mood, and then it starts and we start doing Kirtan with everybody. It's like, oh yeah, my mind's a dirty rotten line. This is great. What would be better than this?
But before we go into that, I just wanted to hear briefly about your backgrounds, because you joined, but a little bit, who was Nimai before? Well, how did you come to the point of giving up on the American dream? Come on, it's the American dream.
Yeah, I was raised in Christianity. My parents actually met in seminary, and they're both ordained Presbyterian pastors. But I feel like my home was like less
good people.
Christian than a lot of people who are raised in a Christian home. And they're very careful not to like push
open-minded Christians.
Yeah, and they just brought me to church, and I went to Sunday school, but they didn't like, we said God is good, God is great, thank you for the food before we ate, but that was about it. It's like we weren't like family Bible readings or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that just
similar. And from my parents also similar. They weren't like heavily.
Yeah.
Just some rituals, a little bit here and there.
And then as a goofy kid, you might not be able to tell from the video, I'm sitting down, but I'm like 6'4", and I was really uncoordinated, and I had a doofy haircut, and like I got picked on a decent amount, and we moved when I had just turned 16, and I got into partying, I was always really shy, so liquor really helped with that, and I was able to play the part of this I don't know, the opposite of being shy and a wallflower. I was obnoxious.
A villain.
Yeah. And so, then, I had my two best friends, they both had a parent that died when we were young, and that was really heavy. And then when we were like college age, my two closest friends passed away, which was super heavy.
It made an impact.
Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with it, and I just went further down that road of intoxicants, and up until I was in my late 20s, it's 29, and I was also taking like head meds, and I was over medicated. I had this manic episode, and I thought I was Jesus, and I looked like Jesus. I had a long hair and a beard.
I saw the pillow. That's a pretty cool pillow. We can show it later.
So I was running around ranting and raving, and around that time, I reached out to Prahlad Priya, who I knew as Phil, because we worked next door to each other. I knew, you think you know a guy, kind of thing. Like he never mentioned anything about Krishna consciousness or devotees or but he could tell something was going on with me, and he invited me to the Kirtan program, and that kind of coincided with this, like, I said I had this kind of manic episode, and then it swung back down into a depressive episode. I couldn't believe I was back there, and I was really, really materially exhausted,
You saw the window of opportunity.
Yeah. Well, when I met with him, I was still manic, but then shortly after that. So anyway, I went to my first Kirtan, I was still manic.
Manic is like maniac?
Yeah, like
Lots of energy, very excited, excitable.
I was cranking
Mood
out this
swings.
artwork.
Yeah, but like on a happier side of a mood swing.
Delusions of grandeur, you know.
He thought he was Jesus.
Literally thought I was Jesus. And so he could tell I was off. He invited me to Kirtan. I loved it. Loved it. And then shortly after that, swung back into a depressive episode. And then
Amazing.
just had this realization that if I was ever going to get back to this point of not being miserable, I was going to have to get sober, you know. And so I started going to 12-step meetings.
Boom.
And I got sober in the 12-step meetings. And meanwhile, I was doing some kirtan and really benefiting from that, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they've kind of gone like right with each other. You know, my 12-step recovery and my Bhakti. It's kind of hard to separate the two.
One is complementing the other.
Yeah. And in the beginning, it was like I was doing a ton of 12-step service work. And now it's shifted and I don't do as much 12-step work. I have a lot more service commitments in Krishna consciousness. But I still make sure I
Wow, that's amazing.
keep up with the 12-step stuff.
That's amazing. It was like approximately seven years ago, and
Yeah.
now you're 36. You're 29 there or something,
Yeah.
and such a drastic change. I mean, I would never have thought. I met you last year. You're such a nice guy. I would never have thought that you of course. Of course. The sages have saved us. What about you, Mataj?
Me, I grew up here in southern Delaware. You know, pretty
In the woods?
normal to a beach where it's a
In the
beach
beach.
community. It's great. Spent my summers on the beach. I have two younger sisters, and my youngest sister has special needs. And I guess it was, well, I guess we should back up. I was also active addict for many years. I went to school for audio engineering in South Florida and did that for a while, but really
You were into music, huh?
very into music. I had these high hopes of being an electronic music producer and like engineering, and like I had all these ideas. But really I look back at it now and I see I was just really afraid to commit myself to like a 4-year university. I really just had no direction, didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I loved music and drugs. And these things, I'm going to Florida. And so I did that and I had a great time. It was fun until, it wasn't. And, I suffered years of opiate addiction. So about 6 years of full-on heroin, Oxycontin, methadone, among other things. In 2006, I came back up to Delaware and got sober. And that was great. Definitely a huge turning point in my life. Really struggled in a 12-step program, like accepting a higher power. I was raised atheist. My parents did not instill any spiritual life in me whatsoever. Matter of fact, my mom dissed God and people that worship God any opportunity she had. Yeah, totally. This is definitely quite an interesting lifestyle choice for me in her eyes. So, but yeah, so I got sober, stayed sober, was married previous to Nimai and had a son in that marriage. And about a year after Ryder was born, my son Ryder, I swung back into addiction, not like hardcore addiction stuff, but like smoking marijuana again. And my ex-husband at the time was also dabbling in drugs, and I was having issues. My family was going through a lot of issues with my sister being ill. She was on a liver transplant list. So just a lot of stuff was happening, and I had this really abrupt spiritual awakening. Like one day I woke up and everything was different.
Epiphany.
Like huge epiphany, You know, to the outside world, it looked more like what he had, which was like a manic episode. They did not know what was going on. I was talking about chemtrails and
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, definitely diving into like the conspiracy world. So they were a little nervous, but that also introduced me to the world of like higher consciousness and crystals and even being open to something like Kirtan, because I don't think that I would have been so much prior. So
so you tapped into the New Age movement.
Right,
New
New Age movement, exactly. And a friend of mine said, do you want to go to a transcendental jam? So I could be down with that. Pretty sure I smoked weed before I went. And, you know, I was at the time struggling, not struggling in this way, but like politically frustrated, right? There's lots of stuff going on at the time, and like I was feeling like my efforts just weren't going anywhere because they weren't. And it's just very frustrating. And then here Krishna just, you know, presented Kirtan and Krishna consciousness, and it was like, oh, this is the actual answer. Like standing outside and yelling at a bunch of other humans to do something that they're not going to do because they don't care isn't the answer. Who would have thunk? I wish I could like always remember that in the moment, you know, when I get frustrated. But material life is, you know, can be whatever. But yeah, so, you know, we met at Kirtan and I kept going, and, you know, even when we weren't together, we still both went. And so that was kind of cool to know that like my potential partner later on down the road was also involved in a spiritual practice, which, you know, I never thought that would be such a prerequisite for my life, but it turns out it was. So yeah, I mean, and then we got to do this, and it's been great. I mean, it can be a lot of work. You know, we're dealing with all sorts of personalities all the time, and always trying to be compassionate and tolerant, and, you know, that's just takes practice. And sometimes I'm like, we're working on it, and, you know, every week we're really solid and consistent, which I think is really cool, because it's not easy.
Okay, so now
consistent.
basically you're doing the same thing. Basically, you joined through that Kirtan, and you liked the idea, and you started spreading the message.
Totally. Yeah.
Giving back.
Yeah. And I'll say he definitely dove into the philosophy more, reading, and, you know, I get the philosophy. I'm not a huge fan of reading. I love Kirtan.
Yes.
Kirtan for me is just everything. I mean, I feel more connected there than anywhere. So that's
natural.
That's
natural.
Yeah, totally.
Ladies are more inclined to.
Yeah, true. Very true. So it's definitely more in my nature. I love to dance for Krishna. I love to bake for Krishna. I do all these things that I did before in my life, and now I get to do it for Krishna. So it's
There you go.
amazing.
There you go. You just put Krishna in the middle, and that's it.
Yeah.
If a couple is to be successful, there has to be 3 persons. The man, the woman, and Krishna. Otherwise,
Maybe a 4th. Too.
Yeah,
at least.
No, Mother Archana.
Mother Archana.
Our devotee therapist is amazing.
Yeah, we did premarital counseling and just kept it going.
Yeah. I mean, everyone
Marital
comes
counseling.
into relationships with baggage and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really great to have someone, especially a devotee,
Guidance from a senior.
yeah, that can really help us, you know, improve our relationship with each other people, and with Krishna. It's just really, we're really blessed to have that association.
Because there's always going to be things that, you know, we're not going to immediately see eye to eye on and need to be managed, worked out. So she really helps us to...
She has experience.
Expert mediator, and also teaching us tools so that we, you know, we're having problems with like lashing out at one another and making offenses to one another is, you know, one way you could phrase it. I mean, you just, you know,
Married couple.
yeah, you know, it's like it's really, I feel like she's teaching us tools that we're going to use for the rest of our lives. So it's like really nice that we didn't wait until we were, you know, years down the road and like, you know, ready to get a divorce before we tried to start learning these tools so we can get along, you know.
So a lifesaver.
Yeah, definitely.
John, very nice, very nice.
And yeah, she kind of alluded to it, and something you said reminded me of it. Like when we first started seeing each other, we weren't like full all the way in devotees, you know. It's like I wasn't wearing tulsi. It's like we just liked Kirtan, you know, and like weren't really interested, you know. We were sober.
Before regs, what?
We were sober, we were vegetarian, we liked Kirtan, but like anything else, like no thanks, you know, like
Too much.
yeah. But you know, so she had built her life around raising a child. I had built my life around being able to travel. I'm a school teacher. I've always really loved to travel, and you know, that was one of the I always swore I would never have kids. And, you know, one of the reasons, well, I didn't want the responsibility. And so, anyway, we just couldn't figure out how to reconcile these differences. And we had split up, and like she said, we were independently both kind of materially frustrated all over again. You know, we were upset by the breakup, and you know, independently of each other, we each decided we wanted to like what is, you know, this kirtan is great, and these people are great, and their food's great, and you know, what are they on about anyway? Like you know, like there's something here, and it doesn't quite add up. It's like, you know, these guys, it's like, I try to read the books and it feels like fundamentalism, but they don't, you know, I hate fundamentalism, I hate fundamentalists, but I love these people, so,
yeah.
You know, something's not.
Yeah, there's a missing piece in the
puzzle.
puzzle.
Like I don't have it all figured out. There's
Yeah.
something else here that I'm missing.
Very curious.
And so, independently of each other, we both decided to get some, you know, a little more serious about our bhakti. And then I think that's when we started hosting the weekly programs here. And then we ended up deciding to get back together. We were very, you know, conscious about it. We got engaged shortly after we got back together, but we're still very new in bhakti. We like just started going to the temple and you know, being like, okay, let's give it the college try. Let's see. You know, let's drive up there and hang out with these people and see what happens.
Don't believe him. Actually, he's very serious.
I'm hooked. I'm sold. Yeah,
of course.
It's like, yeah,
that was like 4 years ago, and now we're still driving an hour every Sunday, and you know, love it. Wouldn't change it for anything.
Turn the house into a temple.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I really like how you were telling me yesterday how you have everything planned out. It's very nice. You know, you have your whole year is organized.
Oh, is that nice?
All the festivals.
I think it's a giant source of anxiety when January 4th rolls around and he says, let's do our entire schedule for a year. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's a little intense. So for a good week there, I'm not okay.
But it's super nice when you say, hey, what are we doing this weekend? I'm
list
like,
is
don't book
very
anything
long.
for that weekend. We're going to New York City for Rath Yatra.
And it's good to look at your list, because then you get to see all the great events that are coming, all the devotee association you have to look forward to.
And it's sattvic actually.
Yeah.
Planning your future in this way, so that you know, okay, I have space here so I can dedicate myself, but then afterwards, you know, I have to travel, or that's it. So it's nice. I like it.
I'm definitely a planner.
I'm a planner too. That's a little nuts. That's a little crazy.
Okay, so you started doing all these Kirtan events. You were organizing them, or you initially just started helping, and then gradually you build it up. And now I feel like when I came last summer, when you at the Sunday program, when you gave the announcements, there were like 15 announcements. So much going on. What's happening here in Delaware? Who knows? Nobody ever heard about Delaware. But apparently there is a lot of happening thanks to you guys and the other ones.
And really, I mean, Kirtan
devotees.
Prabhu and that community that we just fell into, unbelievable. Like Kirtan Prabhu, when he found out about Madhu having these programs monthly down here, he started, he would get off of work, rush home, cook a full feast, prasadam, and drive down and get to the theater just as the program was ending and distribute prasadam.
Wow.
And then drive back up.
On a table?
You know,
like this.
Yeah. It was
every month for years he did that. And he also, you know, he was attending the Philadelphia temple. He was one of the managers there, but he was living in Delaware, working in Delaware, and so he felt inspired to start something in Delaware. So he started doing home programs. And then 10 years ago, this is the 10-year anniversary of Krishna Village, which is a dedicated full-time temple. So that was all, you know, his vision and dedication. Of course, the other families that got involved, but he really, you know, was the impetus for Delaware Yatra, and he's been so supportive. So like, he was driving, shot him down. Then the Milton Theater, the owner was going bankrupt, and so he sold it to become a nonprofit. And ironically, the nonprofit could no longer host the kirtans because it wasn't profitable. But I mean, it makes sense. The theater was going to go out of business. It's going to close down. So what can you do? They weren't able to host us. They graciously hosted us for years, free of charge. It actually cost them money because they had their staff. But we helped find a new venue for the monthly program, and then shortly after that, we started hosting the weekly programs. And Madhu led the first one. And
Thursdays?
Yeah, Prahlada Priya Prabhu led the next few, and then I started giving some classes, even though I hardly knew anything. Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj says, a preacher needs only one quality, enthusiasm. That's it.
I always say, what I lack in genuine enthusiasm, I make up for in volume. I speak very loudly. So I mean, we had a lot of support. We kind of fell into the service, and we had a lot of support, and a lot of people, you know, behind us and encouraging us, and like we just got slowly but surely got more and more involved, and now, you know, we help organize different events. But it's kind of Delaware. You know, since before we started even coming, they've had, even though it's a small yatra, they've had, you know, made like large scale festivals for every holiday. And Krishna Kirtan Prabhu used to go and serve and help do like Philadelphia Janmashtami, and then like, you know, the next day come home and do Delaware Janmashtami, you know, and like all the festivals like that. And so now he doesn't do as many of the Philadelphia, you know, they have other managers that kind of step
in the Krishna Village house.
Yeah, well, and before they had that space, they were renting like gymnasiums and cafeterias and schools.
Interesting.
And hosting festivals. Like before we started coming around.
Yeah.
But we're so grateful to them, because really when we first started going, we were some of the only Westerners there, and everybody there like totally opened their hearts and their arms, and you know, we were really welcomed, and like, you know, culturally speaking, it was interesting in the beginning because they didn't know what was going on.
I'd never been around a deity. The first time I went up there, I was like kind of weirded out by the deity.
You
know?
But everyone's been super welcoming, and I think that as the Western population has grown in the temple, everyone's, it's really beautiful to see like the cultural differences kind of move away. Like it's not so like men on this side, women on this side. Like, not that our temple is very big, so you don't really have a choice, but I just feel like we have a more free movement there. It's nice. It's nice. In the beginning, I felt like it was a little stiff, and it was something different for me, I guess, because I never really experienced anything like that. But it's nice now, I feel like, because it's a very welcoming atmosphere to new Westerners, new Bhaktas, because it can be kind of nerve-wracking to walk in and be like, oh wow, what's going on here? So, but yeah, it's been really great. As of lately, our Western population has just, blossomed, and we're getting new people every week coming to temple.
Yeah, young people, right?
Young people that are
20s.
just, it's amazing. It's really, really, really
Teenagers.
cool.
It's like we get 2 or 3 every week, and 1 or 2 of them stay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's Krishna Village's energy. The mood there is just ecstatic.
Yeah, nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and how can you not smile and jump and sing, and it's just amazing.
Vraj Ras Prabhu came, he was serving, splitting time between like Chapati, Govardhan Eco Village, and Rishikesh. And then he came for, he really liked the Western preaching he was doing in Rishikesh and Govardhan Eco Village, and then he came here, and he's done a lot of nice outreach. Like they host a weekly yoga studio program on the University of Delaware campus every Wednesday, and that program is flourishing. And so people are coming to temple from that program.
On the campus?
It's not technically the yoga studio is not owned by the University of Delaware, but it's right in the campus. Yeah. It's in the town where the campus is. So there's like that weekly Wednesday program, our weekly Thursday program, and then the weekly Sunday feast program, and then there's, all kinds of
Festivals.
other one-off home programs. There's a monthly Claymont home program.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're busy.
Yes. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So because of all these programs, variety, and devotees are popping up. That's very nice.
Karanga, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu's son, big Kirtaniya, and he's in with all the other that age group, like college age Kirtaniyas in the Mid-Atlantic. We have a lot of them, a lot of really expert, devotees that were raised in the movement that are expert, the instruments and things. He's in with all them, and so when we have our like Kirtan Mela or our 8-hour Kirtan festivals, he gets a lot of nice Kirtaniers come in. And
if you have a nice Kirtan, it's attractive.
Yeah.
Nicely made, and musically, the mantra, of course, is always there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of expert cooks, really first-class prashadam. I mean, we're just really, all this is just say really grateful that we have the Sangha Yatra that we have.
Mm-hmm.
It's really,
inspiring.
So
Their
it's
service
like, what else would we
attitude
be
is very,
doing?
yeah.
It's like, it's great, you know what I mean? Like, we had the Nityananda Triyodashi last
2 weeks ago?
Thursday?
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the
It was last
second
Thursday.
It was just this past Thursday.
Yeah.
You came right after.
Yeah.
Thursday. Yes.
Yeah.
And
That
it
was
just
wild.
ecstatic.
So
Like,
ecstatic.
it was ecstatic.
Nityananda
And
Prabhu's
like,
mercy.
we, it's like, what else would we have been doing? Like, if we weren't in Krishna consciousness. Like, I know what I would have been doing. I would have been miserable,
Yeah. One of those events where you're like, this is it, man. This is what I have to do for the rest of my life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah, I felt very rejuvenated for like the next 3 days. And then we got to go to temple on Sunday.
It's the
that
same
was
thing all over again.
Fire program on Sunday. So
Just do it as much as possible.
non-stop. So.
Yeah.
Every day is a festival.
Pretty
And
much.
tomorrow's Thursday. And
Haribol.
His Grace Matanga Prabhu is giving class.
Haribol.
Leading Kirtan. It's going to be amazing.
Haribo.
We got a big carload of people from up north, the Christian Village Sangha coming down. And we'll have all of our new bhaktas from down here come, and it's going to be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Joy. So, okay, besides the kirtans, I can see you really like the kirtans, but besides that, what is the next favorite thing that you guys have into this devotional atmosphere, devotional service?
Roxanne's an expert baker.
I apparently.
Oh, really?
I mean, I was never
yes.
really into baking before, but then
yes,
when we
the
started
muffins,
doing
the muffins.
the weekly program, I started baking desserts for the program, and now I just do it all the time. I feel like I'm just baking all the time, even on days that I don't have to bake. I'm still baking. It's kind of
You're
turned
like
into
giving
a problem.
away all the
Yeah, I
mercy,
just like to do it now.
Mothers like to give.
Right, totally. So so now I bake for Krishna, and I love making the devotees happy with some prasad. I mean, it's just great to be able to have a space for people to come and connect like that.
Host.
Yeah, to host that is great. And sure, it's like a huge responsibility, and every Thursday I take off of work, but I'm home baking, cleaning, and preparing for, the night. So, for our program at night. So, I mean, it's joyfully performed, but, it's a lot. My weeks are very, very full. But I'm really happy to do it. And we're really lucky that people actually just walk into our home and they have no idea what they're walking into. They find us on Meetup and they walk into our house and they're just
completely
here.
Clueless.
Yeah, and then, some of our closest friends have come to us through that. And, Krishna is amazing the way he, interconnects us. And it's just been quite a joy. So that's like my other favorite part of Krishna consciousness is serving the devotees.
Wow, amazing.
And, just having these great non-superficial relationships because there's so much more than like, what are you gonna do for me type of relationship.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna scratch your back, you scratch my back, and
like
we're
now
friends.
it's just mutual love, appreciation, and like we have Krishna in the center of that relationship, just like ours, but with the relationships with the other devotees, it's very much the same.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear this because this is actually something really relevant for us as Westerners because we don't really have this culture. If you notice.
Right, yeah. True.
But actually this is so nice, and this is what the grihastas are supposed to be doing, They're supposed to be inviting so many guests,
Right.
and the injunction is that you have to call in a radius of 10 miles or whatever, come eat, we've cooked for you, all the cats or the dogs. And now you're sharing, because of course in the eyes of the capitalist, this is like, responsibility, I have to spend my money, stingy, I have to clean, I have to do this, I have to do that. But actually, it's such a great joy, to make friends and to invite people and even new people whom you don't even know.
Totally.
And to bake for them and offer them your love in the form of prasadam, which is offered to Krishna. And nice.
She's such a wonderful host. She's, always makes people feel welcome. And
what I lack for an enthusiasm for reading, I make up for hosting.
Of course. This is definitely a win because this is what actually the philosophy is meant to achieve, because it's not just the theoretical knowledge, but is the culture. It's a spiritual culture. This is what the people need.
Right.
Behavior. How was the saying? Behavior speaks higher than philosophy. Example, the culture.
Yeah.
When people see these things, when they see these happy families and transcendental parties without alcohol and without smashing yourself.
Yeah, right.
And it's so nice, you know, it's dovetailing. It's
Yeah.
not doing something extraordinary. And Krishna, when Krishna sees, he gives, you know. Prabhupada, like we were discussing before, Prabhupada gave the simple formula: just do something nice for Krishna and everything else will come. And we have the example. Right? You want to add something, bro?
You know, I mentioned when I first started trying to read Prabhupada's books, I just wasn't ready for them. They didn't resonate. There were certain aspects that I scoffed at. You know, I actually had a lot of animosity towards organized religion from like my early 20s. I had a really bad experience, and I was like a militant agnostic up until I had that manic episode. It was a manic episode, but it was also
That's a spiritual awakening.
it was
Honey.
also a valid spiritual experience.
Totally.
You know? Just depends on the lens, you know, you want to look at it through. So my teacher, my spiritual master, I met him, and I was just like blown away, you know, when I met him. And Madhu arranged it without telling me. He arranged like this like super intimate, really special meeting. I got to have breakfast. No, I went to Germantown, Maryland, and he was giving a program, but I didn't realize that I was invited before the program, the actual program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to sit down to this breakfast with his hosts, the couple that was hosting, my spiritual master and his wife, and so the five of us sat down to this elaborate breakfast. I mean, I never had anything like it. It was like dosas with all these chutneys and like
Hare Krishna breakfast, folks. Hare Krishna
but like,
breakfast.
you know, really, the devotees really outdid themselves, you know, because they're cooking for their spiritual master, you know, so it's unbelievable. And the home, they had a really intense home temple. They had a huge altar, and they had these like cathedral ceilings with these big windows, and the morning light was streaming in, and there was like life-size Prabhupada Murti, and it was just totally surreal. You know, it was totally surreal because I was still like new, and so I was blown away by that interaction. You know, it was like really surreal experience. And then his program was incredible, and we went out on book distribution. It was incredible, and so inspired by this person. And you know, he's all about books.
Yes, Vaisheshika Prabhu.
Yeah,
His Holiness Vaisheshika.
He's all about books, you know, reading the books, distributing the books. And I didn't really want to do either of those things. But I wanted what he has, you know, like his connection to our divine conscious source, Krishna, is palatable, you know, and I was just I wanted what he had, you know, and so it's like they say in the 12-step recovery, if you want what we have, you gotta do what we did, is, you know, the kind of the thing. So I started reading Prabhupada's books, and there were definitely challenges, you know, I had a lot of questions. I found some passages really difficult, things really difficult to reconcile. But thankfully, I have such good teachers. Those things have been reconciled for me, and I'm able to now, by causeless mercy, I'm able to really appreciate Prabhupada's books, and I get so much from my reading program, and I'm learning to distribute them, and I get to have all these really cool interactions with random people talking about spiritual life instead of, you know.
It's a transcendental adventure.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm sold on the books.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he was able to break your mental barriers. Can you imagine just the encounter with the spiritual master, you know? So such a great thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very fortunate. This is our cat, Leela.
Oh yeah.
She's trying to play fetch. She's fetching right now.
This is the mascot.
Yeah.
She
Lila.
loves Kirtan and greeting all the devotees when they come.
She does my morning reading program with me too.
Yeah, I must say she's a pretty sattvic cat.
We had said no pets. We traveled too much. They're unclean. Prabhupada said no pets.
Look,
We're not getting pets. Yeah. I said no pets. for
I
those
prayed to
reasons.
Krishna.
She, behind my back, prayed for pets. So she showed up on our doorstep in January. It's freezing cold. I stuck to my guns. I said no. And like, she was out there all night in the freezing cold, and I was in my bed, like awake, like, oh my God, please don't let me wake up to it.
Okay, there she is. Yes. Yes.
This is Leah.
She showed up on our doorstep and wouldn't leave. And now we have a cat.
And she's so good. She loves listening to chanting and kirtan, and
Papa's books.
she loves smelling maha
Fetch.
flowers and playing fetch. You know, we get so lucky to have such an amazing cat.
Yeah, it's pretty sattvic.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to share any concluding words, especially an advice, maybe to somebody who is just joining Krishna consciousness, or couples who are struggling. Yeah, I'm sure you had a lot of experience, so something that you can share, something encouraging, inspirational.
Have you seen the meme that, you know, the memes with the guy at the table and the sign says, you know,
Change my
yada
mind.
yada, change my mind? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
There's a guy
I'm
sitting
not
at a
really-
card table in a park, and like the sign says, whatever, change my mind. And so the whatever changes every time, depending on the meme.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, I saw a meme that said, the answer to every question during Bhagavatam class is devotee association. Change my mind.
Wow.
And yeah, I don't know. You might want to edit that out. But
No, it's good. It's good.
yeah, just staying in the association. Like I tell people that I've somehow or other, causeless mercy, I've been able to fill my life up with all these activities that are so fulfilling and, you know, give me what I need. They're allowing me to grow slowly but surely in Krishna consciousness. And it's like I find that if I just show up, especially when I'm not in the mood, if I just do it anyway, then like every time I'm getting kind of fried out, I get lifted right back up. And it's like just being aware that cycle is going to happen. Like I'm going to get a little fried out for this reason or that reason. You know, I'm a materially conditioned soul in the material world. It's going to happen.
Gunas fluctuating, interchanging.
Yeah, and you know, as long as I just show up, I get what I need. You know, so because I see so many people that like they're new, they're fired up, they're all about it, they like it, they're coming, and then something distracts them. They get, you know, a new job, they get a new girlfriend or boyfriend, they get, you know, or, you know, the season changes and they start doing more outdoor activities, or, you know, something comes up.
And they lose it.
And they just get out of the habit of coming, and then it's like all of a sudden it's been a year and it's like, where did they go? So
Yeah.
I feel like showing up to programs, like having a community, taking regular devotee association is so important for me, and from what I've seen from other people. Yeah, and of course the Shastras and our Acharyas.
Yes.
So
Sadhu Sangha Lava Matra.
So I mean, our Bhakti is very different. He is such a good, what's a word I'm trying to use? You're very on top of your practice, very consistent there. He's super consistent. I am the exact opposite of consistency. And so that's been like a big hurdle for me in Krishna consciousness. And like, I go back and forth all the time with, my worth in Krishna consciousness, because I don't feel like I hit the standard that I'm supposed to hit. And like, it's just always like, it can turn me morose sometimes, totally, if I'm like, comparing myself to others. But I think what's really important is to remember comparing yourself before Krishna consciousness and after Krishna consciousness. Because who was I before Krishna came into my life, and then who am I now? And that should really be my guiding point to the progress that I'm making, or maybe that I'm not making, or things that I can do better, or, maybe revise a little bit. But yeah, I think being yourself is really important in Krishna consciousness, because whatever you have, you can bring it to Krishna consciousness and make it transcendental and amazing. And, we need people from all backgrounds to be involved in this international society. That's how, we're going to spread it. That's how the holy names are going to get heard. And it's just mostly about, showing up like yourself and who you are, and be that in Krishna consciousness. And I say that, but I always am like, I need to do this, or I need to be something that I'm not. But really, and I have to remind myself, is like, be you. Bhagavad Gita often says, be you. So being yourself in Krishna consciousness, I think, is really important.
And there's no permanent disqualification. It's like, it's like, just because I am having trouble establishing some good habit now doesn't mean I won't ever be able to establish it. Just being okay with
nothing can stand in front of the power of the holy names.
Things will be revealed in due course of time.
Right.
Exactly.
In due course of time.
But then there's like also definitely, there has to be some willingness to sacrifice time, right? To like show your eagerness for that communion with divinity. And, I feel like that's where I need to work, is like carving out that time more for Krishna. So instead of like doing all these busybody things, like baking for Krishna, or cleaning for Krishna, or dancing for Krishna, or doing Kirtan for Krishna, like chanting my japa for Krishna with Krishna is important, and I need to maybe do that more.
So it's like
working on it.
It's like a delicate balance of holding ourselves accountable and striving to grow, but not beating ourselves up. We talk about that a lot in our discussions on Thursdays and Sundays. This balance of like, yes, Krishna consciousness is the answer to all of our problems, materially, spiritually, individually, collectively. It's what we want. It's filling us up. It's the only thing that's going to fill the God-sized hole in the heart. And yes, more. But at the same time, I can't. I'll beat myself right out the door if I'm not careful, So it's like balancing wanting to grow and doing our best, like, because it's a gray area, right? Like, how do I know I'm doing my best and not being complacent, but at the same time not beating myself up? So that's the balance we're always looking for.
Jai, thank you very, very much.
Thank
the
you so
devotees. It was such a nice pleasure to hear your stories and all your realizations. It's definitely a great treasure that we can share with the world. So
if you're ever in Delaware, check us out.
Yes, thumbs up for Delaware Yatra. It's probably gonna become the first Krishna conscious state in the great country.
Agreed.
Jai Krishna Prabhu predicted it.
Yes. So, yes, come here, check them out, do Kirtan with them.
We're planning a Maha Harinam for the Rehoboth Boardwalk this summer.
Yes.
100,000 people.
Haribol.
Dork.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Haribol!
Haribol!